don't know what to do with my hands. And we're back. Yeah, it's been a minute since the last video. A lot has happened since then, so excited to give you guys some updates on what went well, what didn't, and like what to look forward to. So stay tuned. So yeah, we'll jump straight into the queen. Almost 3 weeks after pollination, it was pretty easy to tell that it had taken, and that's not surprising. I've already done this in the past, exact same parent plan, so I was expecting everything to be successful. For whatever reason, the queens produce berries a lot quicker than everything else. So you can see we've got a couple shots here of the different stages early on, and then we have a lot more of near the end. You can see the berries start turning this beautiful red orange color, and they kind of look like little candy corns. And you should never be pulling them out when you're harvesting them. They should kind of just fall off as they're ripened. And yeah, this is how we process them. We take them and individually we rub the berries in our hands to release the seeds. And then we dip our fingers in water, and that tends to release the seeds. They're covered in this super goo is what I call it. I don't know what it is, but it's impossible to break. Nothing seems to touch it. It just persists until the seeds are planted, and eventually it just seems to fade away. First round, I tried to clean it, and I don't know if it's worth it. This time, I just soaked everything in water for a couple days, and everything seems to be germinating just fine. So back to like how we plant the seeds and the type of mediums that we use, because we get a lot of questions on that. So these are actually some Pollinatiums. These are about 6 weeks old. So they've just produced their first leaf, and they're working on the second one. So over here, I've got a mix of bark, coconut chunks, and that's it. What I'll do is I'll take the bottom tray out and clean it once a week, completely freshen it up so it's not harboring any bacteria or anything like that. And this works really well for me. And you'll notice that there's hardly any medium in any of the pots. So what I'll do is as this grows, I'll start to stack more on top, and that will encourage new root growth, because new root growth comes from the top of the plant. And if I were to fill this at the top, then I wouldn't have any space to put in new medium. And what ends up happening is by the time the plant is overgrown the pot, there's no roots in the bottom. So this way the roots will fill the pot as it grows, and it'll actually stay in this pot a little bit longer, which helps with some space issues. Like using sphagnum moss too in these community pots when we run out of room. You have to be careful, because if you overwater it, it will start to get super algae-y, as you can see it's happened here. And it will start to form like a slime mold, which will choke everything off. So don't let it go completely bone dry, but take it to the point where it's damp, and that will help out with things. And I only will start seeds like this. I'll never grow plants in pure sphagnum. I know there are people out there that make it last much longer, but with the way that I water, it just doesn't work out for me. So what I'll do is I'll keep them in here until they've produced 2 or 3 leaves. Then I'll separate them out individually. I'm not gonna be super particular about how much sphagnum moss is left on the roots. I'll just put them into a chunkier mix that I know isn't gonna choke off the moss that's there. As another side note, so these Pollinatium were germinated in this tray without a dome, and they've done just fine, but some of my other seeds I find prefer a dome. So the Warrock seeds that I've planted are under a dome right now. We brought one up just to show you. So this was just barely watered. You can see it's just started germinating. In my experience, it takes about a week to 2 weeks before you start seeing germination from harvest. And then this root will grow out a little bit, and then the first leaf will start to pop out. Keep it damp, so put it under a humidity tray, but remember, Warrocks really love airflow, and they're gonna get choked off if you keep them in a humidity tray once they've grown a couple leaves. Yeah, so now that we know what went well and how we process the seeds, we can go look at what didn't go so well and the indicators that show like when pollination isn't gonna be successful. So I'm sure a lot of people are wondering what happened with the Pollinatium that was crossed with the Warrock. It looked great for a couple months. It was developing nicely. It was doing all the things. And then all of a sudden it started to go yellow and died off. I've never seen anyone cross it, so I don't think it's actually a viable cross. But I did see recently Equigenera posted a picture of a mature Pallidiflorum crossed with the crystallinum. I immediately went, grabbed my Magnificum and hit this Pallidiflorum with it. So it's only been a couple weeks, but signs are good. The inflow's already changed colors. It's starting to puff up a little bit. So yeah, we'll see what happens in the next couple months. You gotta just always take it all the way to the end because you never know what's gonna happen. I've seen instances where berries are produced, seeds are harvested, but then none of them germinate because they're not viable. So, you know, always be careful if you're looking at buying a new hybrid seed that hasn't been done before. You know, you may not end up getting viable seeds, so just beware. Let me show you this Magnificum that I pollinated. It's so close to being done. Some of the berries are red, and then some of them are still green. What'll happen over the next week or so is that the red ones will start to release themselves from the infructescence, and then that's how you know they're ready. This is not the stage you want to be picking at it or pulling at it because the berries are just now ripening. And then what I found is I usually harvest berries over a week to a week and a half. So this first round will come out, and then the ones that are still green will start to ripen over that same period. This is the crystallinum hybrid that was crossed with the Warrock. This one has been a little underwhelming, if I'm being honest. So this inflow right now is about 3 months old. The berries that are there look like they're just now starting to ripen. Hopefully, you know, the seeds that are in there are gonna be viable because it'd be really cool to see what these grow into. This is a shot of one of my Forgetii that wasn't successful. So it's shown signs of failure for about a week now. So the first thing that you'll see happen is the hood of the inflorescence starts to fade to yellow, and every single time that's happened to me, the rest of it just dies off. So keep a lookout for that if that starts happening to you. And if it does, just try again next time. So this is a great example of a plant that's probably a little bit too immature to really do too much. In my experience, the first 1 or 2 inflows, they'll either not produce pollen or they'll never go receptive. And you can just tell by the size, like, you know, this inflow right now is barely the size of my finger and it's still not completely done developing. But, you know, always try it. Just know that if it doesn't work, it may not be a bad cross or a sterile plant. It just may need some more time to mature a little bit more before it's ready to bear seeds. And this is still just barely a seedling. It's gonna get a lot bigger in the next couple months. And this one I'm pretty excited to pollinate some of my other plants with. Yeah, I hope that was helpful for you. I really enjoy sharing all these little tidbits. It's been super rewarding growing out all these Anthuriums from seeds. Stay tuned for more videos from Rousseau Plant Care.